Rambam, we are in the laws of chayvel umazik, of damages that a person does, human damage. Before we learned laws of theft and robbery, and before that we learned about your property doing damage, like your animal, right? Now we're talking about a human does damage. Person who strikes a woman and causes her, the chapter 4, causes her to miscarry is liable, even if her injury is caused unintentionally. Must compensate the woman's husband for the value of the fetus and the woman for the injury and the pain.
Here we go.
It's interesting. How do you make payment for the fetus is assessed? We evaluate how much the woman would be worth before she gave birth, and how much she's worth had she given birth. Difference between the two figures is should be given to the husband. That's the damage to the fetus.
So more, you have more value after birth?
No, less value after birth.
But this is like if she's a slave.
Right. So that when it comes to damage, it's interesting. The law is how much how much would that woman be sold, right?
If she were a slave.
If she were a slave, different between pregnant and not pregnant, right? But that's also the damage if you damage another person. Forget about pregnancy; it's got nothing to do with pregnancy. That's the way the law of damage, because there's 5 things that you pay for, possibly that you pay for. We learned yesterday when you hurt somebody, or damage somebody. Damage, right? Pain is separate from damage, right? Pain. So let's say you cut off someone's arm. There's a pain, and there's medical bills. That's separate. There's unemployment, separate, and embarrassment, separate. But you can't double dip. So if you paid once for the damage, you don't get it paid again under the pain. What does that mean? So damage will be how much are you less valuable now that you don't have an arm? If you were sold on the slave market. And that's the way it's for anybody.
That's only 1 of 5 ways to calculate the.
That's for damage.
Yeah.
Then pain would be, how much would you, if the king said, off with your arm, right? Off with your arm, the king said. But if you want to pay for you want to pay that it can be done, but with a sword, or it can be done with butter knife. Plastic knife, yeah. Yeah.
That'll be a little painful.
Right. Or it'd be done with a potion, so take away the pain. How much are you willing to pay? That's pain, separate from the damage, right? You're separating the two, right?
Well, what do you mean by you can't double? Oh, I see. You can't like calculate
the pain, including the damage.
Yeah.
The pain is the pain, the damage is damage. Each one is calculated separately.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we spoke about yesterday at great length on how you go make the calculations for each thing. Right. Yeah. So also now that you're infirm, then you can't work, let's say, for a week. So you get paid for work. But if you were let's say you were a musician, right?
Making the way.
Well, no. So you got paid for that for damage, right? You can't now get paid for it again the second time because I can't do my work.
Yeah.
No, then your work is not based on the damage that was done.
Yeah.
That would be double dipping. So then they'd be infirmed as what would you be able to do without an arm? Right? Can't be something that you need an arm for. Yeah, as a musician, you can't play with one arm. Well, let's say whatever. I don't know why I use a musician, but whatever it is, right?
Can't play drums.
Huh?
You can't play drums.
Right.
So damages comes with four pennies.
So
Damages comes with 4 pennies.
I don't know if it comes before. It's assessed differently.
So you can.
Okay, is that clear? That's clear?
Yeah, it's divided up.
Right? So there will be instances you have to pay all 5. Instances you pay only 4, 3, 2, 1. Right?
So you wouldn't have to pay all 5 if like one of them was just a complete overload.
Well, for example, if if someone slapped you with the back of his hand, you only pay for the embarrassment.
You're not, or the.
There's no damage. There's no pain. That's not pain.
Yeah,
Pain is the embarrassment, is the pain.
okay.
If he broke his tooth, that's different. That's damage.
And then
You
you
broke
get
his
two.
tooth. Then you broke his tooth. No, so then there'll also be medical expense, right?
Then that'd be a different thing.
But we just I didn't say that though. Didn't say that. I said got right the back of the hand. You have to pay 100 silver coins for it for
Yeah.
the embarrassment.
Yeah,
There's no damage. There's no medical insurance. There's no pain. Right. The pain is the embarrassment.
yeah.
Right.
How do you evaluate the price of the embarrassment?
The Torahs, the sages did. That was yesterday.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just giving you a review so you understand what we're talking about over here. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We're good. So now, so the woman, there's a value of the fetus. It's called a damage, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. So that goes to the husband, and she gets. She gets the injury to her, right? Then 1 second. That's for the valve Yeah, and the damage. If there's any damage to her, she gets that and the pain.
But is she embarrassed?
If there was embarrassment, but that not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
Oh.
Okay. Number 2, we're good?
Yes.
How's the payment of the fetus assessed? Oh, so we did the fetus assessed. We evaluated how much a woman is worth before. Yeah, she gave birth, and after the difference between 2 figures should be given to the husband. If her husband died after she miscarried, the assessment should be given to his heirs because it belongs to the husband. The fetus. The fetus. It's interesting, right? Doesn't belong to her. It belongs to him because why does it belong to him?
Because he put it in her.
No, because he's responsible ultimately for taking care of him. She takes care. To
Oh,
feed
yeah.
and to clothe. It's his responsibility,
Yeah.
right? So the damage of losing that child,
Mhm.
he gets because he has the responsibility,
Yeah.
Cool.
right? So now,
Wait, the responsibility to. But he would have had the responsibility to the fetus.
I'm just like, yeah.
therefore, he gets that's where he gets the money for it. Wouldn't you get?
Well, what I don't get is like if he's taking care of the fetus, then he's.
I mean, the fetus was killed.
Yeah,
right?
the fetus is dead.
The fetus is
is
dead.
gone.
But why is he getting the money?
Because he would have been the one responsible for it.
Huh?
'Cause he
Oh,
would-
that's what I just said. Because he's feeding, he's clothing the child.
Okay.
So therefore, he's getting the money thereof.
And therefore, it would have belonged to him. The fetus.
Yeah, it's not belonging is the right word. Yeah, a child belongs to you. Does your child belong to you? Yes.
Yeah, I'm responsible.
And you're
Yeah.
responsible. Halachically, you're responsible, not your wife. Your wife is responsible to take the goods that you bring in and to
Yeah.
make it into food.
Yeah.
But you're responsible to make sure that all that's provided. So you have to have the money. So you're going to get the money now
Yeah.
because you would have been the provider for that fetus.
Yeah. I see.
Right?
I see. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay. But the pain, it's her pain.
Yeah.
The damage to her is to her. She's right.
Value of the fetus, again, paying her.
Okay. So if the husband died, so it goes to the heirs because it's in, right. If a woman was struck after her husband died and she miscarried, the assessment for the fetus should be given to the woman. Interesting. Because in other words, because that's not now, it's not part of the inheritance, right? He died already. So what was in the inheritance of the father, right?
Yeah,
Oh, has already been declared,
yeah,
right? And now she got miscarried, she got hit.
yeah,
So then it goes to her,
yeah.
okay? Because
She's not linked to, he's dead, so she's not.
yeah,
linked to
exactly.
further.
No, but you might think it might go to his heirs. No, because whatever went to the heirs is already I've not because it's been divided, it's been declared by the fact when he dies.
Yeah.
It goes automatic to the heirs,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it could be dispute, it'll be in court, but if there's no dispute, it's automatic upon death that it becomes the heirs.
Even though those heirs very well likely would be her children too.
Yeah, yeah. But they don't become responsible for
Yeah.
for that child.
Yeah.
She then becomes the one responsible. Therefore, the money goes to her.
Question would be if she had another husband, but that's.
He just died.
No, I know, but if she got remarried after. Like he died.
No,
she got-
then
she was
no,
pregnant.
because it's no, because it's not his child.
Yeah, but
It's her husband. It's her husband's child that died.
Okay, so even her like second husband,
No, not his child. Why is he responsible?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What makes him responsible?
if he has a child with her, then
We're talking about a little. Come on, let's learn what Rambam. Let's all learn our own ideas here. She had a child
yeah,
with a husband. The husband died. It's 9 months, right?
Yeah.
So after a few months, he died, and she gave, and then she got hit in the 6th month. He died in the 3rd month
Yeah,
of her pregnancy, and then she got hit in the 6th month. Even if she remarried somebody else, it's not that person's child, so he's not responsible. I mean, you can take responsibility upon you. We're talking about halacha, right? What's the law? It's not his child. He's not responsible unless he takes the responsibility. But it's not halachically embedded. But the father is.
he could just do it.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. This is what you have to do.
Halacha is obligation,
Yeah.
not what your niceties
Yeah,
are,
that was-
right? Okay, we're good.
We're great. Greater than ever.
Just stay current, okay?
but she converted.
The woman who miscarries was married to a convert. The person injures her during the convert's lifetime. He must pay the assessment fetus to the husband. Okay, which is regular.
It's the same
Right?
thing.
If the convert dies without leaving any heirs, he's not liable. If the woman is injured after the convert, if the convert dies without leaving any heirs, then the one that does the damage is not liable. I don't get that. If the woman is injured after convert dies, she requires the right of the assessment for the fetus. It goes to her. And I don't understand that, quite frank.
Is this different from the one before? Beyond
Yeah.
the convert?
Because on convert, we're talking about in a situation
Yeah.
that a convert doesn't have heirs.
Yeah.
Meaning, right? He doesn't have heirs, right? This would have been the first child born to him. That would have been an heir.
Oh, okay. I
But it
see.
was a
Yeah.
right? It was someone struck and hit the woman and she miscarried as a result, right? That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. That's the context to make sure we don't lose that context. Let me just see if there's a commentary over here. Give me a second. For the property, when you come to owned by the does not leave any heirs to free it to be. Ah. Okay. Okay, got it. So we're talking about an heir. Why are they speaking about a convert? Is because again, in an instance where there's no heirs, if there
Yeah.
are heirs, then it's not speaking about that, right? Right. Legal heirs according to Torah, right? So what happens when a convert passes away and there's no legal heirs? Their property becomes hefker, becomes free,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And whoever gets it first, it's theirs
Yeah.
because it's like hefker. It's free.
yeah,
Free meaning that it's ownerless. That's what I mean by free,
yeah.
right? So the guy who now hit the woman, right?
Mhm.
Since he doesn't have heirs, it becomes free, and therefore that's why he doesn't have to pay,
Yeah,
right? And by the way, we're talking about legally by the let Andrew in, please. By the letter of the law. We're not talking about, should you make
Yeah.
compensation, beyond and so on and so forth, right?
Mhm.
And this is biblical law, and I'm not certain if if rabbinic law there would be anything added to this layer,
Mhm.
but we're talking about biblical law over here. But if he died and then she was hit,
yeah.
then she would get the damages
Mhm.
because it wouldn't be going to the heirs of that he doesn't have,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's the point. Okay, number 4. Well, gotta be if a woman was a maidservant or a non-Jew at the time of conception, and she was freed and converted before the accident took, the assessment of the fetus belongs to her.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
She doesn't have a husband.
because she doesn't have a husband halachically,
Yeah,
right? So it's hers. And then she became Jewish, right? Okay. When a person strikes a woman and she miscarries and dies, so she dies, and the fetus too, right?
Mhm.
He's not liable for the payment even if he struck her unintentionally. For the fetus, right? When we're talking about
We're talking
payment,
the fetus
we're
here.
talking about the fetus, right? He's not liable for the fetus. Why? Because he killed, and that's worse. That's worse, right? The law is derived as follows: that if there is no not to be a fatal injury, he must certainly be punished financially. Thus, we see that the scripture did not distinguish between unintentional and intentional conduct with regard to the act punishable by the execution by the court, and freed the perpetrator from the financial liability in all instances. So, in other words, so the verse is not making a difference if it was intentional or unintentional,
Yeah,
right? Um, if there will not be a fatal injury, right? So meaning in any case, he has to pay unintentional, intentional, if there's no fatal injury. But if there's a fatal injury, there's no payment to be made.
Is it because the charge is now murder or manslaughter?
yeah.
It's because
It's a fatal injury. So
one
it's not a
second, Mr.
financial charge.
right, 1 second,
Yeah, just getting going.
um, hold on, I'll make sure I get this clear. Okay, she miscarries. Because the verse says that only when there is not a fatal injury, then you pay. If there's a fatal injury, the inference is that you do not pay.
Yeah,
Right?
because you're being held.
No, that because if it was unintentional, if it was an accident, then that is,
Oh, yeah.
so
you weren't
if
trying
there are
to-
answers, so there'd be no murder charge.
Yeah,
It was unintentional,
same principle here.
right? Let's go further. Let's read the next one because it's gonna give a modification. When does the above apply? When the person intended to strike a woman, when, however, right, and others, he wanted to strike her. So there was an intention. What does that mean?
First degree.
Well, 1 second. Wait a second. I'm not clear of it. Ah, to hit her, but he didn't want it to. He didn't mean to miscarry her.
Yeah,
That he didn't. Right. So, but he intended to strike the woman. When, however, he intended to strike his colleague, but instead struck the woman, although she died, since he killed her without intention, this is considered a matter that does not involve capital punishment and is liable for the assessment of the fetus.
so if the matter involves capital punishment, then he's not
Aha.
held liable.
So there's the point is, because look at the verse. It's speaking about that he meant to hit her,
Yeah,
right?
Initially.
When he meant to hit her, he didn't mean to lose the fetus, and it doesn't mean he meant to kill her.
yeah,
Just meant to hit her. In such an instance, he is, as the verse teaches us, only if he's not liable for the fetus, because that's only when, as the verse says, when there isn't a fatal injury.
I find these initial sentences are very confusing.
What's that? No, hold on. I want to make sure I get this clear.
Striking colleague.
Yes, not liable for pain, even though he struck her unintentionally. It's also derived from the following person. If there not be a fatal injury,
That's a different thing.
Yeah, colleague ducked. His colleague ducked. You want to get the colleague ducked, and you hit the woman instead.
Yeah, but it says here when the person intended to strike the woman. That's a person in the sense there.
Right. So if he intended to strike another person, but instead accidentally struck her, although she died, right? Even though he killed her without intention, this is considered as a matter that doesn't involve capital punishment, and therefore he'd be liable for the fetus.
because it does not involve capital punishment.
Yeah, because
But if it did involve capital punishment, then he would not be liable.
he wouldn't be liable for the fetus, right?
It's like you're not being charged twice for the same crime.
Right. Even though he's not going to be charged capital punishment, it is plausible capital punishment in this instance. Therefore, you don't pay restitution. You don't pay financial
Because
restitution,
now it's a bigger question.
even though it's not going to be, because
It was unintentional.
it can be unintentional. Oh no, unintentional is only towards the fetus. It's a little confusing. I have
He
to
was
think
trying to
this through.
kill. No, not trying to kill,
He
but
wasn't trying to kill
he wasn't trying to get rid of the fetus. He was trying to kill someone.
someone else, not a woman.
No, hit doesn't mean that you had intention to kill.
Oh, he unintentionally killed someone.
No, there's two different things. If he hit the woman herself, right? Doesn't mean he had it, but whether intentionally it can be unintentional to kill,
Yeah,
right?
frequently.
Right? It doesn't mean that's what he wanted to do. He didn't want to, right? But it's still under the parameter of, since he killed her.
Yes, that's
It's still under the parameter that there is a death sentence. In that instance, it won't be a death sentence. Right?
There's no possibility. It's just.
Well, first of all, there has to be witnesses, right? That forewarned him.
Yeah.
So, right.
So it's like it could.
But because it's under that category,
Yeah.
right? So the lesser,
Aspect.
the lesser crime is not dealt with. Is like
Interesting.
is right, because what happened is, in one act you did two crimes. but you can only be punished for the more severe crime. But you're not going to get punished for the severe crime, but you're under the category of that severe crime.
So
Right.
it's like if I killed you and took your wallet, then I'm only being charged, then the only.
Well, no,
charge-
that's two separate acts. That's two separate actions.
Okay,
Here with one hit,
yeah,
he killed her and miscarried.
okay.
That's one action, right? So the one action is bringing to one more of the serious
Mhm.
culpability in the category, even though you're not going to be culpable.
Yeah, but that's the.
Well, I mean,
category.
well, there are no witnesses, for example, let's say, right? Or one witness, and one witness is not enough for capital
Yeah.
punishment.
Is it like murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree?
Yeah, you know what? We need more looking into this. Let's go further. Okay, it's
Okay.
good questions. I don't have answers to all this. I have to. Yeah.
Let us know, okay?
Okay. A person who strikes his father or mother. Now, there's another law, right? You strike your mother and your father. There's capital punishment for that, but does not draw blood. Is liable to pay for the 5 assessments. Why? Because it's not on the category of capital punishment. If a child hit a mother or father and drew blood, they're under the category of capital punishment.
Wow. That's the
You
parent.
mean literally a child, or you mean like the child of?
A child of a parent.
So like if a 5-year-old slaps his.
No, 5-year-olds are punishable by
A
law.
bar mitzvah.
No, 20-year-old. For
20-year-old.
capital punishment, it's 20
Okay.
years old and more. Right?
Except for the person you know who's really rebellious as a kid.
Yeah. That's a different. Yeah.
Right.
Ben Sarah Meir. Yeah. If, however, he drew blood while striking his parents or injured a colleague on Shabbos, even if he did so unintentionally, it's not liable for financial penalty. Why? Because these sins are punishable by execution by the court, even though he's not going to get execution because it was unintentional. Right?
It's the same principle as what we just.
Same principle, exactly. It's under that category, but it doesn't have that, you're not going to, right. As we've explained, the scripture did not distinguish between unintentional and intentional conduct with regard to the act punishable by execution by the court and freed the perpetrator of financial liability in all instances. That's the point over here, right? You injured somebody on Shabbos, right? You took a knife and you injured them, right? You didn't kill them, but you injured them. So you're Mechal Shabbos, profaning Shabbos. But you didn't do intentionally to be Mechal Shabbos. So you're not going to get the death penalty, but it's under that category.
So you're not going to get charged.
So you're not going to make the payment. How does that make sense? How's that fair? It's got nothing to do with fair. It's got to do with how the Torah is teaching. That it's from the words of the verses what the verse is telling us, as our sages understood it, and that becomes the law.
Yeah.
Right? Okay? Okay. With regard to causing injury on Shabbos, one might ask, a person caused injury is considered as performing destructive activity, and one who performs destructive activity on Shabbos is not liable for execution. Why then is a person who causes injury considered as to transgress a sin punishable by execution by the court? Right? Now, others, if you build a home on Shabbos, you could be liable for execution, right? But when you broke down the house, you're destructive. You hurt somebody, right? That's destructive. So why would you be liable for death
Is
penalty?
that rabbinically prohibited as well? Like I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking biblical law because death penalty is only biblical. Yeah. Don't bring in anything rabbinic over here.
No rabbinics.
No, not because remember, because our issue over here, what's our issue over here? It's about financial penalty,
Yeah.
right? So if you cross the biblical law, then there won't be that's involved execution, which is like Shabbos or
Yeah.
drawing blood of a child to his parents, right? Child, I mean a 20-year-old plus,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So now he's asking a question, but this is destructive, and we know that's not a biblical law. So then what's it mean over here? So the resolution is when a person is satisfying his evil inclination by injuring his colleague, is considered to be performing constructive activity.
Ah,
Thus he is performing an act that's punishable by execution, therefore it is not liable to financial penalty. Got it? Want me to repeat that?
but then it's everything you're doing from your evil inclination is constructive.
It's what?
No, no, 1 second.
Performing constructive.
Well, you know, when you really are angry at somebody, right?
Yeah,
And you give them a real tongue lashing, for example,
yeah,
afterwards, oh, you feel good about yourself. Now, maybe later you're going to feel guilty, this and that, right? But at the moment when you're heated up, right? It calms your nerves. That's called constructive in a destructive way of yourself, right? But that's the point that he's making over here,
Yeah.
is that injuring another person when you're upset at them, right, feels good.
okay.
That's- So there's not about obviously
So
didn't
there is
intend.
action here.
That's not the point over here. The point is, why is that not called destructive? Because you're feeling good about yourself. You're feeling good that you did this, right? That's why it would be then under the category of Shabbos that you did something against Shabbos because it's constructive and you feeling he got what's deserving.
It's almost like work.
Yeah, that's what
It is
it's work on
work,
Shabbos.
yeah.
That's why it's called work on Shabbos.
You're
Work
doing
on
something-
Shabbos has to be something that is constructive, not destructive. That the whole question he asked over here is that when you, if you did it on Shabbos, right? You cause injury to someone on Shabbos, that's destructive,
Yeah,
right? The transgressing Shabbos is constructive, right?
yeah.
Carrying on Shabbos
It's
into
constructive.
into the public domain, right? From a private to a public is called constructive something, right? An active, right? To plow the field is constructive.
Yeah,
All the things that you're seeding right is constructive,
yeah,
right? Tanning the leather is constructive,
yeah.
right? All of the 39 things are constructive. So how's this constructive? You did injury to somebody.
Mhm.
Forget about that. It's not a nice thing. I mean, we're talking about how's the act of what you did constructive. But my evil inclination doing that feels good. That's constructive. And that's why it's considered that you transgressed a biblical law. Right?
So that applies to today, like if you got really angry at someone at Shabbat and you started yelling at them, then that would be your transgression, transgressing. the
No,
biblical law.
that's a biblical law. Your mouth, no. So you went and hit him and drew blood. That's what we're talking. That's the point we're talking about.
Yeah.
You went and hit the guy and
Oh,
drew
yeah.
blood on Shabbos.
Yeah,
Like work.
You did. No, work has to be constructive. That's the question the Rambam's asking.
yeah.
What's constructive about a blow to somebody? Now, I feel good about it if I did it. If I was really upset with somebody and I gave him a blow and drew blood, forget about later, I'm going to feel guilty,
Yeah. that's
right?
not-
I'm going to have remorse. In the moment
Right.
when you're upset and angry and you took action against somebody,
Yeah.
right? You feel good about it. You know, he got what's coming to him.
Yeah.
That's how naturally people are, right? That's what he's saying. In that respect, it's constructive to you in your Yetzer Hara.
How can,
No,
how can carrying, how if carrying,
I didn't say caring.
I'm saying, it's also in this paragraph that says if you're carrying on Shabbos into a,
I didn't say that.
Area.
No, I said that. The Rambam didn't say that
but you said that's constructive.
because you are whatever. But leave that up. Leave that out for now.
That's a.
Leave that out. Leave that out for now. That was
Stick to the story.
yeah.
You don't feel good about it.
Okay. When a person injures a colleague on Yom Kippur, he's not liable for financial compensation, even though he did so intentionally. This is the halacha, although he transgressed a sin that is punishable by lashes. Generally, whenever the deed that a person commits obligates the person to receive lashes and pay financial penalty, he should be lashed and is not required to pay financial penalty, for a person is never obligated to both lashes and financial penalty. Although this is a general rule, an exception is made with regard to the person who injures a colleague. The Torah specifically stated that the person who injures a colleague should pay compensation. He shall pay unemployment compensation. So Yom Kippur, you injured somebody. You're liable to pay financial compensation. Because Yom Kippur, if you, right, it's not like Shabbos. Not Shabbos, Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos because then it's got the law of Shabbos. But Yom Kippur, if you transgress Yom Kippur, you get lashes, you do not get death penalty.
Unless it falls on Shabbos.
Unless it falls on Shabbos, right? Huh?
I don't know.
What?
Does that have anything to do with, in my mind, it came double dipping. You can't double dip.
Oh, here you're paying financial compensation. Because although we have a principle that when you get lashes and financial penalty, right? Again, it's two things. Lashes is more stringent, so it should take away the financial penalty, right? That's a general rule. Exception is made because the Torah, if you damaged somebody on Yom Kippur, because the Torah specifically states that you shall pay, right, to this person. So since there's something specific about it, therefore, even on Yom Kippur, where there would be lashes, right?
So there's something unique about.
Yeah, in other words, Yom Kippur, if you hit somebody, drew blood, right? You don't get death penalty, only lashes. You'll get lashes and pay financial. Okay? Yes, me too.
Thank you very much.
Whoa.
Rob, you agree with me?